It's my distraction. Singing's always been part of my life. I grew up as a little kid singing in church, like so many did at that time. Learned to play the guitar about 9, 10, 11 years old. Been playing and singing ever since.
Recent developments have placed Pastor Bob Joyce at the center of growing public attention, sparking widespread discussion among supporters, critics, and curious observers alike.
I think I've talked with him on the phone a few times. He reaches the whole world. And asked me if I would allow him to put our message and our songs on radio. So he said, it won't cost you anything. I believe in what you're preaching.
As fresh claims and online speculation continue to circulate, many are questioning what is really happening and whether the situation is as serious as some suggest. With opinions sharply divided and interest rapidly growing, the story has become difficult to ignore. So, what exactly has led to this moment? What facts are known so far? Why are so many people following every new development? Let's uncover the full story. The quiet journey of faith. Pastor Bob Joyce's story is often described very differently from what many people expect. Rather than being a tale of celebrity, mystery, or internet fame, it is presented by his ministry as the story of a man who has quietly spent most of his life serving God and preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Long before his name became widely discussed online, Joyce was known simply as a pastor, husband, and devoted servant of his local church. Born Robert Wayne Joyce on June 19, 1952, he married his wife, Willina, in 1975. Their shared commitment to Christian ministry became a defining part of their lives, and on May 25, 1981, Bob Joyce was officially ordained into the ministry. From that point onward, he dedicated himself to preaching the Bible, leading worship, and encouraging believers to deepen their faith. For decades, he carried out this work quietly, focusing on serving people rather than seeking public attention or recognition. Years later, Bob and Willina Joyce began meeting with a very small group of believers. What started as a simple gathering of just 7 or 8 people eventually grew into what became Household of Faith Church in Benton, Arkansas, around 2010. As more people joined the fellowship, the congregation steadily expanded, eventually moving into larger buildings to accommodate the increasing attendance. The church's growth was seen by its members as the result of consistent ministry, faithful teaching, and a welcoming community built around the message of Christ. According to Joyce and his ministry, widespread fame was never the goal. His mission has always been to preach Scripture, lead worship, and point people toward Jesus Christ rather than himself. However, social media and online video platforms unexpectedly placed him at the center of internet speculation, as viral videos, conspiracy theories, and mistaken identity claims introduced his name to millions unfamiliar with his church or ministry. The ministry has repeatedly and firmly rejected these claims. It insists that Bob Joyce has never claimed to be anyone other than Robert Wayne Joyce, and has never encouraged comparisons between himself and any other public figure. Church leaders continue to emphasize that their mission is not to promote a personality, but to proclaim the gospel. As one ministry statement explains, their purpose is not about the promotion of any man, but continued proclamation and exaltation of the person and the gospel of Jesus Christ. As the attention surrounding Joyce increased, so did reports of fake social media profiles, impersonators, and misleading online content using his name. The ministry warns supporters that Pastor Joyce does not send private messages requesting money, does not seek donations through unofficial channels, and does not endorse content that distracts from the message of Christ. Despite the ongoing speculation, the ministry says Joyce remains focused on the same calling that has guided him for decades, faithfully preaching the gospel every week and allowing his lifelong work, not internet rumors, to define his legacy. So, what seems to be the genesis of Pastor Bob Joyce's challenges? How could it have affected him so much? Let's find out. The origins of extraordinary speculation. For decades, few celebrity mysteries have captured people's imagination, quite like the question of whether Elvis Presley really died in 1977. Although official records confirm that the legendary singer passed away on August 16th of that year, countless rumors have continued to suggest that the king of rock and roll secretly staged his death and disappeared from public life. Over the years, many individuals have been identified by believers as possible versions of an older Elvis living quietly under a different name. Among all those names, one has attracted far more attention than most: Pastor Bob Joyce. Bob Joyce, an Arkansas pastor and gospel singer, unexpectedly found himself at the center of this extraordinary theory after videos of his sermons and musical performances spread rapidly across social media. As millions watched his messages and listened to him sing, many viewers became convinced they had discovered something remarkable. They pointed to what they believed were striking similarities between Joyce and Elvis, claiming that the pastor's facial features, voice, expressions, posture, and even the way he carried himself looked remarkably familiar. For those who believed Elvis had faked his death, these similarities seemed impossible to ignore. Online communities began comparing Elvis's old performances with recent recordings of Bob Joyce. Side-by-side videos, photos, and audio clips spread online, with supporters pointing to similar voices, facial features, smiles, body language, and stage presence. Some even claimed the resemblance was so strong that Joyce had to be Elvis living under a new identity. As the speculation spread, the theory gained even greater momentum online. Every new sermon, gospel performance, or public appearance by Joyce was carefully examined by believers searching for fresh evidence. Discussions filled social media platforms, YouTube comment sections, and online forums, where supporters debated every detail, from his speaking style to his singing voice. The mystery became less about simple curiosity and more about a story that many found fascinating and difficult to dismiss. Despite the widespread attention, Pastor Bob Joyce has remained consistent in his response. He has repeatedly and clearly stated that he is not Elvis Presley and has never claimed to be. While he recognizes that many people continue to believe the theory regardless of his explanations, he has chosen not to spend his time arguing with critics or conspiracy believers. Instead, Joyce has focused on what he considers far more important: his ministry. He has expressed gratitude that people are listening to his sermons and gospel music, regardless of why they first became interested. In his view, if the comparisons with Elvis encourage someone to hear God's message, reflect on their faith, or draw closer to Christ, then something positive has come from the unusual speculation. He has even remarked that if Elvis were still alive today, he would gladly consider him a fellow brother in Christ, rather than a hidden version of himself. But does Bob Joyce really look so much like Elvis Presley? What exactly did Bob Joyce say about the runners and allegations? Stay tuned. Why Bob Joyce isn't Elvis? The idea that Pastor Bob Joyce is secretly Elvis Presley has fascinated thousands of people for years. Across social media, YouTube, and online discussion forums, supporters of the theory point to similarities in appearance, facial features, voice, and even body language as proof that the king of rock and roll never died, but instead assumed a new identity as a Christian pastor. While these claims continue to attract attention, many researchers and fact-checkers argue that the evidence tells a very different story. Perhaps the strongest argument against the theory comes from Bob Joyce himself. On numerous occasions, he has firmly denied that he is Elvis Presley. Joyce has openly admitted that he understands why people make the comparison. He recognizes that his deep singing voice, physical appearance, and certain mannerisms remind many people of the legendary singer. However, he consistently explains that he is simply Robert Wayne Joyce, a pastor, husband, father, and musician whose life's purpose is to preach the gospel rather than encourage conspiracy theories. He has even stated that if Elvis Presley were alive today, he would gladly consider him a brother in Christ, making it clear that he sees Elvis as someone entirely separate from himself. Public records also reveal major differences between the two men that are difficult to ignore. Elvis Presley was born on January 8, 1935 in Tupelo, Mississippi. Bob Joyce, on the other hand, was born much later, on June 19, 1952. That documented 17-year age difference alone creates a serious challenge for those who believe they are the same person. Their lives followed very different paths. Elvis became one of history's most famous entertainers, while Bob Joyce devoted himself to Christian ministry. With his wife, Wilena, whom he married in 1975, he founded Household of Faith Church in Arkansas, where they raised 3 children and later welcomed grandchildren. Supporters of the theory have also pointed to various public events to support their claims. However, these examples often fail under closer examination. For instance, rumors that Bob Joyce attended Lisa Marie Presley's funeral were later traced to mistaken identity. The man seen at the service was actually musician Andy Childs, who had genuine professional connections with the Presley family. In the end, those who reject the theory argue that similarities in appearance or voice are simply not enough to outweigh decades of documented history. Elvis Presley's life, career, and reported death have been extensively recorded, while Bob Joyce's birth records, family history, ministry, and personal testimony consistently identify him as a different individual. For many observers, the continuing fascination says less about hidden evidence and more about the enduring mystery surrounding Elvis Presley, whose legendary status continues to inspire speculation decades after his death. Does Bob Joyce seem to be free from public scrutiny over the finances of the ministry? What is his own side of the story? Stay with us. Inside Pastor Bob Joyce's ministry. According to Pastor Bob Joyce's ministry, the church is supported in the same way many other Christian ministries are, through voluntary gifts from members and supporters who genuinely want to help its work continue. The ministry explains that these contributions are never demanded or treated as an obligation. Instead, people are reminded that giving is a personal decision that should come from a willing heart rather than pressure or guilt. Church leaders have consistently emphasized that no one is expected to pay for prayer, pastoral care, sermons, or any other part of the ministry. Whether someone chooses to donate or not, they are welcomed to worship, receive ministry, and participate in church activities without discrimination. The ministry insists that Pastor Bob Joyce does not pressure people into making financial contributions or use emotional appeals to encourage giving. Those who decide to support the church financially are simply encouraged to do so because they believe in its mission and want to help it continue. Beyond covering the everyday costs of running the church, the ministry says that donations play an important role in supporting its wider mission. Funds help maintain church operations, provide resources for worship services, expand gospel outreach, and support various community programs designed to assist individuals and families facing difficult circumstances. According to the church, its primary focus has always been on teaching the Bible faithfully, encouraging spiritual growth, and serving others with compassion. Ministry leaders maintain that the church exists to spread the message of Christ and meet practical needs, rather than to pursue wealth or financial gain. As Pastor Bob Joyce's profile on the internet has grown dramatically over the years, his ministry has also found itself under increasing public attention. Much of this interest has been fueled by the long-running conspiracy theory claiming that Joyce is secretly the legendary singer Elvis Presley. Although the ministry has repeatedly rejected these claims, the rumors continue to circulate widely across social media platforms, video-sharing websites, and online discussion forums, attracting millions of curious viewers. The ministry says this unexpected attention has created several challenges. As public curiosity grew, fake social media profiles, impersonators, and unofficial accounts appeared online, falsely claiming to represent Pastor Bob Joyce or the church. Some spread misinformation, while others sought donations through fraudulent campaigns. The ministry regularly urges supporters to rely only on official communication channels and remain cautious of fake posts, donation requests, and online scams. But did Bob Joyce's ministry ever give any response to the allegations so far? What was their version of the whole story? Stay glued. Official response to identity rumors. According to the ministry, Pastor Bob Joyce has repeatedly and clearly rejected the long-running rumors linking him to other identities. It stresses that he has never suggested, hinted, or claimed to be anyone else. In the ministry's view, countless videos, social media posts, online groups, and discussions promoting such claims have no connection to Pastor Joyce or his church. It strongly emphasizes that these theories are created and shared by independent individuals, not by the ministry itself. To make its position unmistakably clear, the ministry points back to a statement Pastor Joyce made in 2017. In those words, he explained that the ministry has never been about building the reputation of any individual. Instead, its sole purpose is to proclaim the gospel and direct people's attention to Jesus Christ, the Son of God. The ministry presents this statement as evidence that its mission has remained unchanged over the years. Rather than encouraging curiosity about Pastor Joyce's personal identity, it says every sermon, teaching, and outreach effort is intended to lead people toward Christ alone. The ministry also directs visitors to a video in which Pastor Joyce personally addressed the rumors. In that message, he encouraged people to hear the truth directly from him instead of relying on internet speculation, edited clips, or sensational online content. According to the ministry, many stories circulating online are built on assumptions rather than facts, and they often distract people from the message the ministry is trying to share. It insists that anything shifting the spotlight away from Jesus Christ and onto human personalities goes against its biblical purpose. As public interest in these conspiracy theories has grown, the ministry says it has also faced another serious challenge: the rise of fake online accounts and scams. It explains that numerous impersonators have created social media profiles using Pastor Joyce's name and image. Others have produced edited videos, misleading content, and even fraudulent fundraising campaigns designed to deceive unsuspecting supporters. Because of this, the ministry repeatedly warns followers to remain cautious. It says Pastor Joyce does not privately message people asking for donations or financial assistance. It also states that he does not operate personal accounts on Telegram, TikTok, X, WhatsApp, or other unofficial platforms, nor has he authorized anyone to collect money or speak on his behalf. Supporters are encouraged to rely only on the ministry's official website and verified communication channels for authentic information. Finally, the ministry acknowledges that people are welcome to watch and share Pastor Joyce's sermons. However, it strongly objects to anyone altering his videos, misrepresenting his words, or using his name to promote conspiracy theories, personal agendas, or financial scams. According to the ministry, Pastor Joyce's lifelong mission has never been to encourage speculation about his identity. Instead, his focus has always been on faithfully preaching Jesus Christ. It urges people to evaluate the ministry by the truth of its biblical teaching, rather than by the rumors circulating across the internet, insisting that the gospel, not controversy, remains at the center of everything it does. So, despite the criticisms and allegations, does Bob Joyce seem to have any impact? What legacy does he push forth? Keep watching. The legacy rumors couldn't erase. For more than 40 years, Pastor Bob Joyce has built a reputation centered on Christian ministry, faithful service, and a deep commitment to sharing the gospel. Yet, in recent years, much of the public conversation surrounding him has shifted away from his decades of work and toward a sensational internet theory that continues to capture widespread attention. According to his ministry, this unexpected wave of online speculation has often overshadowed the life and mission he has dedicated himself to for so many years. The ministry explains that Joyce has faithfully served as the pastor of Household of Faith Church in Benton, Arkansas, where he has spent decades preaching biblical truth, leading worship, and caring for his congregation. Rather than seeking popularity or public recognition, he is described as a humble servant whose greatest desire has always been to point people toward Jesus Christ. Church leaders stress that their mission has never changed. Their focus remains firmly on teaching Scripture, proclaiming salvation through Christ, nurturing believers in their spiritual journey, and creating an atmosphere of sincere worship. However, the ministry also acknowledges that Pastor Joyce has become the center of one of the Internet's most persistent conspiracy theories, the claim that he is secretly Elvis Presley living under another identity. The church firmly rejects these claims, repeatedly stating that Joyce has never identified himself as anyone other than Robert Wayne Joyce. According to the ministry, these rumors have brought enormous public attention, but not always in a positive way. Instead of encouraging people to engage with the church's message, the speculation has often distracted them from its true purpose. The ministry says the consequences of these rumors have extended far beyond simple curiosity. They have reportedly fueled fake social media accounts, misleading videos, false information, online impersonators, and even fraudulent fundraising campaigns carried out in Joyce's name. As a result, the church has repeatedly urged supporters and curious visitors to rely only on its official communication channels and to be cautious of deceptive content circulating online. Despite years of controversy and constant public fascination, the ministry insists that Pastor Bob Joyce's real legacy should not be defined by internet myths or conspiracy theories. Instead, it argues that his life's work is best measured by more than 4 decades of faithful preaching, heartfelt worship, dedicated pastoral care, and unwavering commitment to the Christian faith. In the ministry's view, the lasting story of Bob Joyce is not one of mystery or speculation, but of perseverance, humility, and a lifelong devotion to leading people toward Jesus Christ. So, what do you think about the ongoing speculation surrounding Pastor Bob Joyce? Do you believe the rumors will ever fade, or will they continue to spark debate online? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.